Howdy people, Chris Angel, coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. In this episode, we are, by the way, this is episode 69, and we are talking about the inconvenient truth of marketing. The inconvenient truth of marketing. Well, here it is. I actually got a car about a year ago, used car, but I keep seeing Jeeps and other cool cars, like some Range Rovers. So I've been looking at those just because it's fun to look at those, not because I'm ready to buy one. And guess what happens? I looked at them, and guess what my Facebook newsfeed is full of? You guessed it. Jeeps, Range Rovers, Volvos. There's all sorts of different things in my newsfeed on Facebook. I've also been looking for some good flip-flops. I have really flat feet, and so it's hard to find flip-flops that actually feel good to wear all day long. But Born, have you seen Borns, B-O-R-N? Borns are amazing. And so I've been looking at those. Well, guess what showed up in my newsfeed, right? All of a sudden, I've got a bunch of different sandal ads showing up in my newsfeed. The third thing that I noticed was my kids, we went out for Father's Day today to upgrade their phones. And so a couple days ago, I looked at Sprint, looked at Sprint's website, was trying to just see like what are the upgrade deals, blah, blah, blah. And guess what popped in my newsfeed a couple hours later? Sprint was in my newsfeed a couple hours after visiting their site. Now, here's, this is not a retargeting conversation. I'm not talking to you today about how do people hit your website and then you follow them from retargeting, right? What I am talking to you today about is the whole thing about this inconvenient truth of marketing. And that is, you ready? Most of your leads are not now leads. They're not ready to buy from you right now. And why that's inconvenient is because most of us in marketing want to go place an ad, do a post, do something now, and get somebody that comes through and says, oh my God, I've been looking for you. I want to work with you right now. Right? That's how most people in business market. They market for immediate results. And what they're not prepared for is the long game. We are not prepared, most likely, for sticking it out, being consistent long term. Now, here's why this is so important. The consistency factor here is ultimately what I'm wanting to get after in this conversation. Here's the thing. You don't know when your people are going to be ready to buy. Sprint and Jeep or Range Rover and Born sandals don't know when I'm going to pull the trigger on those. So here's the deal. If they don't stay consistent with me, it's possible that I just don't do anything. Or it's possible that I get something besides a Jeep or Range Rover. This is why consistency matters. Because you don't know when they're going to pull that trigger. I remember when I was in real estate years ago, I sold real estate from 2001 to 2007. And I remember having friends and family who bought a house through someone else. They knew I was in real estate, but I think they forgot, or I was not consistent when I was a real estate agent in business. And when people don't remember in the moment or it's not convenient in the moment to be like, wow, let's call Chris to have him do something, then they just don't. So the reason it's so important for you to be consistent in your marketing is because you don't know when your people are going to need your help. So when we ping from one idea to the next in marketing, we go back and forth with different strategies, different ideas. All the while, the people that really would be best to work with forgot about us because we weren't in front of them consistently. So how do we reverse engineer? So that is inconvenient, yes? That's inconvenient. It's inconvenient to you because you have to be consistent. So, because you don't know when they're going to pull the trigger. So let's talk about how do you be consistent? Well, for me, and this is sort of the drum that I beat for the world. If you're really going to be consistent, then you have to find something you can be passionately consistent about. Sometimes what you sell is hard to be consistent with. If you sell real estate, like the reason I was not consistent, one of the reasons I was not consistent in real estate is because I didn't like to talk about real estate. What am I talking about? Like what house just came on the market? That's not fun for me. I don't want to go research that and figure out how to talk to you about real estate houses that came on the market. That's not fun for me. I won't be consistent with that. And for some of you, you won't be consistent with the topic of your profession or industry either. In fact, you don't have to, you just look at, have you been? Have you been consistent? And then the question becomes like, why haven't you been? And you can use what typically comes up with that for people is, oh, well, I've been busy, or I don't understand the technology of it. I mean, those are sort of smoke screens. What's really happening is you don't, even if you did have the time, and even if you did know the technology, my guess is you still wouldn't do it just because you're not passionate to talk about that. What the question you need to answer is, what could I talk about on a daily basis and never get tired of? I've said that before in this show, and I'll probably say it 100 more times because it's that important to you being consistent. You have to be consistent. You don't know when they're going to pull the trigger. It's not today, most likely. Out of 100 people that are receiving your message, I would guess 99 or 100 of them are not going to do something today. So you have to be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And unless you have something that you can talk about on a daily basis and never grow tired of, then you're stuck. You're out of luck. It's inconvenient for you. It's not inconvenient, however. In fact, it's fun, frankly. When you have something you can talk about on a daily basis and never get tired of, it's actually fun because now you get to show up and talk about the things you like, right? So that is, it's really important. I need you to hear that most of your people are not going to buy from you right now. I need you to hear that because some of you are approaching your marketing like they will. And when I propose to people, hey, I recommend you create a show. I think a show is a very smart way to frame your content, not only for your consumer, but also for you, because it gives you a container to live inside of, to play inside of, rather than no container, which leaves you no direction or structure. When I propose a show, people ask me, well, when can I get a lead out of it? Well, what's the ROI? I'm not sure I want to pay for that. Hey, it's been 2 months and I still don't have any leads from it. It's still not producing any money. Yeah. Right? Well, then you don't understand the game of marketing. That's not how this works. You don't know. You don't know when they're going to buy. Now, you can make up for that by having a wider audience. The bigger the audience, there's a very small percent that are ready to buy right now. And if you have a bigger audience, that small percent might actually equate to something that works for you, right? That it might actually convert for you. But you have to have a big audience for that. And you can't have, by the way, you can't have a big audience unless you're putting money into ad spend and spending money to put it in front of people. You can't have a big audience if you're inconsistent. Facebook doesn't like it. Your people won't notice it. If they're not engaging with it, Facebook doesn't put it in front of them. Here's what I want you to see. Do you see all roads lead back to consistency? All roads lead back to consistency. And most people don't want to hear that. That's what's inconvenient. Because you're like, oh, come on. I don't want you to say it has to do with consistency. Because that's not sexy, right? Consistency is not sexy. But it's what are your options? What else? What is your alternative? What else are you going to do? If you don't know when they're going to buy, if you don't know when they're going to move on the thing that you sell, what's your alternative? You have no crystal ball. You've got no smoke signal coming up from when their brain starts to ponder like, okay, now's the time. Your only hope, and you're not going to call them every day. Hey, it's me again. Hey, it's me again. Hey, it's me again. Hey, you thinking about, hey, you ready? Hey, what about now? You're not going to do that. So guys, your content is the easiest path to be consistent and stay in front of people while adding value and connection. This is the path to consistency. It's your content. It's the thing you can talk about on a daily basis and never get tired of. Some of you, I've seen you pop on here. Some of you heard me say that like a couple years ago. Have you been consistent the last couple years? That's hard for people to hear because it's like, no, I haven't. Right. This is the game of marketing. This is the game of marketing. This is the game of marketing. So, what to do about it? Well, here's my invitation. I am about to create, I'm in the process of creating and will release within the month of July, I will release a coaching program designed to get you consistent and to create a show so that you know what it is, not only know what it is that you want to talk about, but feel good being consistent, right? So I invite you to have a conversation with me in order to see if that's a fit for you, okay? It'll be a 6-week program. By the time you're done, you will have your own show. You will have your own podcast in the world, launched live. It will be out. That is the end result of this program. And there will be 6 weeks to ramp up to that, where we're going through all of the stuff, like not just the skill sets of producing it, but the mindsets to have it, really for refining what it is that you're going to say to the world so that you can be consistent. And that will start in July. So if you're interested in that, if you'd like to learn more about what that program is and how that works, right, you can go to myclaritycall.com and schedule time with me to talk to me, right? Because we'll need to have a conversation about whether it's a fit for you or not, and whether you're a fit for me in this program or not. But this is the game of marketing, gang. You've got to get consistent. You've got to get consistent. So thanks for hanging out with me for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Until tomorrow, I will have a great night.